BandChat. We're Royal Oak, and to remind everyone of who each of us are, I'm Brayson.
I'm Miles.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Austin. And today I believe we are on the topic of being a band during the times of COVID-19.
Absolutely. And to start us off, here's our icebreaker of the day. What is the worst thing that you had to eat this week? I will go first.
Okay.
Do it. I need a minute.
It sounds like you have something you need to like let out of your chest here. Let out of your chest? It just needs to break out of you.
It does, because it was awful. Starbucks Cubano sandwich. Tastes like glue. Do not ever get it. Starbucks, if you're listening to this, please sponsor us.
Cubano sandwich. What's in that?
Like ham, like two different types of ham, and then cheese, like Swiss cheese, but it's glue. It's glue cheese. You know when you get vegan nachos?
Yes.
Can't relate. I'm sorry.
And you feel like you're chewing on rubber?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the whole sandwich.
Oh.
That's why I order vegan nachos, so that sounds appealing to me.
Oh, great. Well, I'll save mine for you.
All
Okay.
right, well, I can go.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Sure,
Let's
Mike.
hear it.
This one's kind of disappointing because I think I was telling you guys last week about how excited I was to make my paneer vindaloo.
Yes.
no.
And I think that's why it makes this list, is because it wasn't terrible, but it was disappointing, and that made it the worst thing I ate this week. It was like a long process. I'd never cooked with paneer before, simmered all the spices for like a few hours, and it just like, it was just okay. It was it didn't make nearly enough sauce, and I was just like, I was disappointed. The rice to sauce ratio was just off.
Well, that's
we just
okay.
gotta-
You get him next time.
Just double
I
up on
will.
your spices and your liquids.
I did double up, and it was still not enough.
Damn.
I'll have to quadruple up next time.
That's honestly super disappointing.
It was disappointing.
That is.
Thank you.
That is the theme.
Austin, what about you? What was the worst thing you ate this week?
So just to give a bit of background, and I guess we'll get into this as we go farther through the episode, but I've been working from home. So basically, because I've been working from home, I eat a lot at home. And basically, it feels like every week I make myself at least like one disappointing sandwich. Just because, like, I mean, you go to other places and like there's a lot of like great places around like Vancouver in the area where there's like you can get like a really damn good sandwich, but then you're like in the middle of work and you're like, I gotta go back and do stuff, like I have things to do, and so you just throw together this like shit sandwich between like two little pieces of like terrible bread. It's like one piece of like sandwich meat if you're into that, like terrible cheese. You're like, it's like shit lettuce, and then you put it all together and you're like, this unfortunately works.
And the odds aren't in your favor, right? Because you have to make the sandwich every time. So it's like, of course, one of those sandwiches out of the week might not be the greatest sandwich if you're trying new sandwiches.
Well, I'm not a sandwich expert. I'm not a sandwich artist. I'm just a guy making a sandwich. I don't have the expertise here. I'm just making it work. But I did actually go to the grocery store today. And do you guys know those like French's like crispy onions?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted some crunch factor, and like just having cucumber wasn't doing it for me. So, although this is like a low point, I mean, you know what? To be honest, if this is my low point so far, I'm doing pretty good. But in terms of sandwich making, it's my low point, but I'm working my way up. We're gonna get there.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank
You're
you.
taking the steps to make a better sandwich. You're becoming a real sandwich.
A what?
A sandwich.
A sandwich?
A sandwich artist, which, by the
Yeah.
way, Subway, if you're listening to this, please sponsor us.
We eat your food a lot on tour.
Oh my God.
Like a lot.
Yeah, Subway is the number one consumed food item, probably besides Tim Hortons / McDonald's breakfast.
Oh, I can't do Tim Hortons anymore.
Yeah, it's been
Sometimes
hard.
it's the only thing in French River, Ontario.
That's true.
It's true. We'll get to that in another episode, though. So I guess
Yeah.
I have to go now, right?
Yeah,
What was the
this
worst
is just
thing?
a food episode now.
It's just a food episode. The worst thing I ate. So I mean, it was kind of like on the same vein as Mike. Like it wasn't like it was terrible, but it was just like, So I mean, my sister is like huge into like the no meat. Like let's try and cut down on the meat. So like maybe try and have like not as much meat like when we're eating meals, like 1 or 2 meals a week. Like she's like, oh, let's make meals that don't have meat in them, because I still eat with my mom and my sister. We have nice dinners. And so this one, it was a no meat dinner. And it was like cabbage, zucchini, purple cabbage, red cabbage,
Yeah.
cabbage, zucchini, and broccoli. Like those were the vegetables, and they were just like pan fried like together.
Oh, interesting.
And like it was put over quinoa.
Mhm.
And I mean, the sauce like was a savior, but at the same time, I just felt like I was a rabbit, just eating rabbit food, you know?
You know what, dude? I would love to eat that.
Yeah, that sounded pretty good, honestly.
It does sound good.
That's the thing. Like it was still good, but there was
Right,
something
but it was
missing.
the worst.
Exactly.
The worst of the week.
Exactly. It was the worst.
Yeah.
It was the worst of the week, right? And I was just like, yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird because I was like, and then once I put more sauce on it, I was like, okay, this is getting a little better. But man, if there was like a piece of chicken on there, I'm sorry, guys. Like I need protein. Like I don't feel full unless I have protein, or unless it's like pizza or pasta or something, you know?
Fair. You know
Yeah,
what
you-
is well, sorry, Bon?
I was gonna say he has the metabolism of like a jackrabbit.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's true. Maybe that's why.
You eat,
I
you eat
rab-
more than anyone else in this band.
Yep, it's true. I like eating.
That's why they call you the human carburetor.
Aha, they do call me that. Although I haven't been called that in forever. I mean, that's because we don't see people, I guess. But anywho, the icebreaker is done. That was very fun.
All right. So moving on. March 13th, the last day of freedom. As I
Yeah.
would call it.
Was that it? Was that the day?
That was it. That was the actual day that we were not in lockdown.
Wow.
So coronavirus, we're hearing about it in the news and stuff, and on Twitter and all this stuff. And we're like, oh yeah, it's nothing. It's just gonna blow over like all the other flus that we've had over the past decade or whatever. But it's getting scary coming up to March 13th. Like I'm going out and I'm seeing way less people everywhere. And I actually had a gig on that day, and it was to basically an empty room because
I remember that. I think you played. Was that with Brennan?
yeah, it was with Brennan and
Yeah.
Antoinette.
Yeah, because I remember he was like, "Oh yeah, I know it's like things are kind of scary right now, but if you guys could come out to the show, like that'd be great."
I remember
Yeah.
that.
And I mean, like, it's a good thing that nobody came, to be honest. That's the only time you'll ever hear me say that.
Mhm.
And then literally the next day, we hear that we're on lockdown as like a country for 2 weeks, right? And we all think that it's just going to be 2 weeks, but it's
Yep.
not.
Yeah.
As everyone knows, it was not 2 weeks from
That's
March
why
13th, 2020.
that's why we're here on Zoom right now, because it was not 2 weeks.
So we're like, okay, yeah, get these 2 weeks over with. We'll get through and see what happens. 2 weeks later, it just keeps getting worse. The cases are rising. And then you hear about all these bands, like every band that was touring has canceled their tours. They've all gone home. Or they're postponing for now because they don't actually grasp the severity yet. And that's like, what, April?
Yeah, I would say April, like mid to end April. I don't know. It's kind of fuzzy for me, but I feel like that's when it was like, at least the big artists were like, okay, we can postpone it back, and then like the small, even like some of the small artists were just like we're canceling that quick. I thought, like,
Yeah,
at least
I
from
feel
what I
like-
saw.
Like, it definitely started out as like, we don't really know what's going on, so we're gonna, like, I saw bands in April postponing shows till like December. And they're like, this will be
Yeah.
safe. We'll be able to play shows by then for sure.
Yeah.
Boy, were they wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just wild, and it was like kind of at that moment where we were like, yeah, we're not touring this year. This is not happening.
Yeah, I mean, were there plans to tour anyways though? I feel
There
like
were tentative plans.
yeah.
I feel like we might have done like a small boy.
Yeah, I think we're going to do maybe like a small Western Canadian something or other, but not even that. Alas, nothing, not a zero.
Yeah,
And it's funny
So-
because you talk about it like becoming real, like in like at the beginning of, or like mid-March. And I was away. Like I wasn't even in the country. I was in Sri Lanka. And I remember like I landed like March 1st, and there'd been like I'd been out of Canada for like 6+ months at that point. And I remember like seeing a few things on the news. It's like, okay, there's this new virus. There's like one case popping up here and there. We're like, okay, no big deal. And I remember like probably around like the 13th or 14th of March, there's just this like switch that flipped. And everybody was like, everybody that you walk past on the street was like, hey, do you have COVID in your country? Because we have COVID here. And you'd be like, no,
Excuse
cool.
me?
Yeah, it was just like it was insane. And I remember like just starting to freak out as you'd see the world close. And you're like, are we even going to be able to get home? And then, so I flew home March 17th in the middle of like the beginning of what became a year-ish long pandemic. And I remember
What was the
waiting it out
airport
for
like?
varying degrees of very quiet or incredibly busy. Like I think we were on like the last flight out of Colombo, and we flew to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia on like an empty plane. Like we were like one of 8 people on the plane, and then we landed in that airport, and it was packed, and there's like people sleeping in the airport, like people crying on the phones. It was like really, really crazy. Like I've never seen anything like it. And you get off the plane, and everyone would run to the board that says like departures and arrivals, and everything is just like canceled. Like it was like, I don't know how we got home, to be honest. But we did.
I remember you telling us that you had to leave your baggage there.
Yeah, because you couldn't they're like every single person that was checking into the flight, the people checking you in would have to like look, see if you were on, like see if your country was allowed into the country that you were going to, where your layover was. And so like Canadian citizens weren't allowed into Malaysia at that point, so we couldn't get off the plane to get our bags. So we just like threw out all of our luggage, which is cool. Hey, it's fine. But yeah, so we came back, and we were like, it's probably better to be back here. And I think like, who knows, right? Like hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
But so that was my personal like
it's a
craziness.
scary thing to have to deal with.
Yeah, especially like that's so dystopian, like going into the airport and just seeing like the cancel. Like that's some shit out of a movie, like straight out of a movie. Like,
Truly.
you know?
It did. It did feel like a movie, but not in like a cool way.
Yeah. So so you come home and you were isolating for 2 weeks, correct?
Yeah. And I remember coming home being like, well, you know what? We're home from this trip, but at least like eventually when this all blows over, I'm back. I can go on tour with the boys. We can make some music this year.
Yeah. And I remember us thinking that we were going to play a show at the end of the year.
Yeah. Oh my god.
We were going to play a show like not long after I came back. That was sort of the plan originally.
Yeah.
But now we still haven't played it. I mean, we played a live stream show, which I mean, we'll get into that a little bit more detail next. Austin, what was your experience like when you first heard the news?
Well, I think both you and I were in very similar boats, because we were both supposed to play a show on the Friday of when the world shut down. We were supposed to do like a fill-in gig with our friend Chersey at the a local venue called the Fox Cabaret. So Brayson actually had the chance to play to an empty venue. We didn't get the chance to play at all. So I think
we did get to play to an empty venue. Damn.
Yeah, it was like not even a week later.
Yeah, you know what? In hindsight, I would have loved to play to an empty venue if I had the chance. Like I would rent out a venue just to have the chance to, you know, get the ability to actually set up our stuff, play a show, get pushed off stage by the DJ. Like I would take it all back again. I would just, even if us or the DJ is playing to no one, that would be fine. I just want the feeling again. But
honestly, the rush of setting up and tearing down is kind of underrated. You get a good jinglies in your gooch.
Oh yeah,
I think that's just you.
I
no, like
think
you feel good. You feel like uppity and you're ready to go and you're excited.
Brayson's like, we like play the last note. He's like, oh, I feel it coming. He's like, yes. The notes. He's like,
wait.
okay, it's like time.
It's time
Yeah.
to tear down.
Time to tear down. Yes.
Brayson's getting
tingle.
into like the last chorus of the last song, and he's just like he can just feel his gooch is ready to go. He's like, we get to pack up now.
Well, okay, the reason I said gooch is because that's like the center of your body, right?
Isn't that
Yeah.
your belly button? Isn't your belly button the center of your body?
The absolute center.
I think so.
I
Do
guess
you want to measure it?
Do you have
That's
measuring
for,
tape?
we can save that for
I
another
don't.
episode.
Okay.
But that's actually very interesting. The absolute center.
It's
I guess it
okay.
depends
Just,
on how long your torso is.
That
yeah,
is true.
the way
And
you
legs.
the way you say that like the gooch is the center of your body is the same way like back in like 500 years ago when people were like Earth is the center of the universe. It's just like both sound equally as ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a philosophical realization. Whoa.
Brayson in the 1500s, the gooch is the center of the universe.
Explore flat gooch.
Anywho, we were supposed
Anyway,
to play a
moving on.
show that next Friday, and it got canceled. Yeah, that was. I was looking forward to that. We had rehearsed a couple times. It's always
Yeah.
fun playing with Jersey. But
Yeah. But like everyone had to switch gears at that point. It was no longer shows. I know a lot of bands started instantly doing live streams. It took us a bit to do that.
I
We
think
were
it was
kind of
because
we were working on
we-
something else.
we were working on other stuff, but I feel like we also, I mean, A, like nobody really knew what the heck was going on. But B, I think we wanted to do a live stream, but we wanted it to be, we wanted like a solid production. We wanted it to be like the caliber that we normally have for like our live shows.
yeah.
And I think a lot of the original live streams that you saw were just like people like in their basements or like like on the couch with an acoustic guitar, which is
Yeah.
fine, and especially if you're like a singer songwriter. But for us,
Then that's what me and Sammy did, right? Like, for those listeners who don't know, I also work with a music company called Fusion Presents, and Sammy would always have his Sunday night jam at what was it called? West Beach in White Rock. And so obviously that he literally was like, okay, we're just doing like literally the week it happened. He was like, okay, we'll just do it online. Like that week, he didn't even skip a beat because we usually would play gigs and stuff on the weekend as well. So we had to completely switch gears. But yeah, like basically what you're saying, Mike, like it was a little bit more chill, kind of inviting people on, and we're still doing it. It's a ton of fun. But yeah, in our case, I remember we wanted to go for like that high caliber. Like we wanted to have like a show, right? Like and it was also hard because we had to quarantine. We had to be away from each other so long. So it's like, how do you even do that with 4 people, right? It's like,
Yeah. So we kind of like went our own way and we started putting together these cover videos of these songs that we would record and mix by ourselves, and we would do it remotely and put it all together. And what songs we did? We did Adore You.
Yeah, Adore You by Harry Styles, New Light by John Mayer, Super Lonely by Benet, and then what did we? I think we did one more.
That's
Or was
it.
that it?
Oh yeah,
That
we
was
did,
it.
We did Country Everything.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we
oh,
did
Country
a
Everything.
we did a country spin of our most recent single Everything. That was,
Yeah.
I think that was one of the more fun ones. Well, they
was
were
a lot
all
of fun.
they were all
Oh, yeah.
fun. It was honestly I kind of I appreciated it. I appreciate it more now than I did then, because at that point I was like, well, I just wish we could play real shows. But I think, you know what, it was cool to kind of be forced to do something a little bit differently and really try to adapt. And I think kind of where we were and where a lot of people were, it's just, life was kind of going on as normal. And that's and like that's great. I wish life was normal, but I really think sort of all the money sort of flowing out of the industry aside and whatnot, I really think that this whole pandemic has really sort of pushed artists to kind of look in a new direction towards marketing
Absolutely.
themselves, like, towards content creation, stuff like that. If you want to try and find, the silver lining, the cherry on the shit sundae, like whatever you want to call it. I think that's what it would be for me.
well, it's very true. I feel like it has forced independent musicians to, even be like more independent. Like even like you're saying, like content creation, like the fact that we had Like we just came up with a system where it's like, okay, I'll record drums, put them on the Google Drive, and then Brayson gonna record bass. I'm gonna take that to Google Drive, and then I'm gonna record to that, and I'm gonna put it up. Like just like even doing stuff like that, like learning new processes like that, like it was cool. Like it was fun. Like
Yeah, and it worked. Like we really got into the swing of it, and now that's pretty much our writing process.
Yeah, we've
That's true. Actually, that was like a very good like precursor to what we've now been doing with like demos.
And we're very efficient at it. We've just been like banging out songs left, right, and center, which is great. Because we were writing a bit beforehand before Mike got back at Austin's at his home studio.
it was slower though. It was a little slow.
slower. And I think part of the reason is because we only had designated times to meet up, and now that we're doing it this way, it's just so you just do it at home and then you put it up and we make time to get together and piece it together and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the time that we've had in quarantine and being separate from each other has really sparked a lot of creativity in us, to be honest, and has really allowed us to sort of, as a band, step back and be like, how do we want to approach our music? So I think we've been making some cool leaps and bounds. So
Yeah,
I'm
and-
excited.
Sorry, not even in a music stand. Look at what we're doing right now. We're literally filming ourselves talking.
Yeah.
This was literally a result of just coming up with new ideas and trying to adapt. So it's all about adaptability.
Yeah, when the world zigs, you gotta zag.
You got to zag.
I think like
we're zagging, baby.
we're zagging.
a
Like, I
huge
think
zag.
as bad as obviously as bad as the pandemic is, not only for everyone and all the people that have unfortunately lost their lives, but for bands, like it's been bad for the music industry, of course, but it's been good for musicians in the sense that, like, especially I think a lot of smaller musicians have had to really rethink their strategies. Like you can't just endlessly tour or like endlessly play bar shows. You need to like figure out how to get a stream of income that's like
a little more
sustainable.
Passive.
Yeah, and it's passive. Like it's like there's just so much more like creativity to be had. Like again, don't get me wrong, I would give anything to be back on stage right now. But like I think like Austin was saying, like it's really taught people like you just have to adapt,
Yeah.
or otherwise you're done. Like there is no small venue that you can just like invite all your fans to and play a show
Well,
this Friday.
I mean, there's no more venues, period.
Yeah, that's
Oh, don't say that. No, I don't
No,
want
this-
it. No.
Like, not to put a damper on that. I mean, this whole year's been a damper, but all these venues that we love to play at have started closing, and it's kind of been a sad thing because we don't know where we're gonna be at once if hopefully things start reopening. Like, are we going to be able to do live shows again, or is everyone just going to be doing live streams?
Yeah, it's a really interesting point, because it's like, are people gonna buy up these venues? Like, when are people gonna buy these venues to revive them, essentially? Like, so it is very I don't want to say it's scary. I mean, I guess it's kind of scary, but I mean,
It is. I'm hopeful for almost this like renaissance that happens after. Like people will be so tired of like binging Netflix and just like playing board games at home that when things do finally open up safely, everyone is gonna want to go see a show, is gonna want to go to the movies and see plays and stuff, because like you just haven't been able to. I'm hoping that there's this big like push towards live art again. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I think.
You go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I think that even if venues do close, which I don't think all of them will, I think some will stand, which is good. But I think there'll be a big push for DIY venues to come back again and really kind of relying more on alternative spaces. I do think it'll be a thing. I mean, just in Vancouver alone, over the past couple of years, we've had a fair few DIY venues have shut down. 333 being a big one, off the top of my head. Oh God, I know more. I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now. But like venues such as 333, I think it'll really show that alternative spaces are important to local scenes and we can't just rely on bars. But I do think having the variety is important. But I think definitely once we get out of this and move back towards live music being an active commodity once again, I think there'll be a bit more of they'll like alternative and DIY spaces will be a bit more of a shoulder to lean on.
Yeah, probably.
I would
Who
agree.
knows,
And
maybe they'll open 333 again.
yeah, they could.
You
And
know.
like Mike's saying with this whole like thing of it being a renaissance, I really like how you put it that way. Cause I mean, if you're a musician right now and you're preparing for when that point does happen, for when these venues start to open, and you've been like, you've been getting your marketing in check, you've been writing, you've been putting yourself out there essentially, then when these live venues do come back, then you're just going to be able to like pop off if you're prepared, right? It's all about preparing.
Yeah.
Using this time to prepare, right?
And it's easier said than done. Like I think especially band versus solo artists. Like I can only imagine the opportunities that there are if you can, like if your whole show is just you can be live streaming like our friend Cassandra Mays has been doing throughout the pandemic. She's been like looping and doing that, right? So you know, it's
like,
definitely
it's like what Antoinette has been doing. She's been doing shows still. Well, not like shows, but she's been doing she's been performing at bars and stuff. You know, if it's just solo, it's safe, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like with us, we haven't seen each other in person in months. Like at the time of filming this, so we haven't actually been rehearsing. And so like Miles was saying, like it's all well and good to be prepared when all that opens, but I think that we're prepared in some ways. But you know, we might be a little rusty when it comes to like actually playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like riding a bike.
Oh,
yeah, that's true. And I mean, I'm preparing in this, like, there's so many different ways to take it. I mean, like we've been writing, like we haven't toppled over and been like, oh no, like we've been keeping on it, if not meeting more. You know what I mean? Like it's been like while we might not be able to like rehearse and stuff, like I don't know, like this writing has the writing we've been doing has been so different in terms of the process, in terms of how fast we've been able to do it, how, like you mentioned, how creative we've been with it. So we're prepared in that aspect for like having new material ready to go. But I see what you're saying in terms of like the band chemistry. But like Bong's saying, it's like riding a bike. We'd have a couple of rehearses, tighten that shit up, and get going.
Yeah. I think the weirdest thing about that will be playing songs that we have written but have never played before.
Oh, that's
yeah, because I pre before all of us having to kind of separate and work remotely again. We'd had only written 3 songs. Yeah, 3 songs, and we have about 11 right now. So
I think almost 12.
I'm pretty. You know what? Technicalities, people at home get it, but yeah, like needless to say, there's a lot of songs that we haven't actually played and have all been put together remotely over Zoom. And yeah, so that'll definitely be very strange because I mean, our writing process personally was always us getting together in a room and the 4 of us writing music together. So we did that initially along with sort of a mix of writing within the box and doing production with the songwriting at the same time. But now it's definitely been full bore writing and production in the box and, all over Zoom. So it's been different, but I think it's been good. It's been good for us.
It's been very good.
Yeah, I think so
Not
too.
to mention all the planning that we've been doing.
Yes, that's also true. We took last week to basically do a whole vision and like timeline, I guess, for 2021 is a good way to put it. And it was interesting, Austin, or you were saying like this is a good thing for us, and like even for other people in the music industry. Like we got on a call with our good friend Matt DiPomponio from Echo Plant, and he said he would run mixes with bands, or like do mixed, I don't know what you'd call it, like run through mixes with bands, like on Zoom calls, like. And it's just like that. It's so much more efficient. They don't have to go into the studio and be like, oh yeah, tinker with this, or like upload a file, back and forth, emails, stuff. So I mean, another positive we can take out of this.
Yeah, it's like it's all these like pushes in technology that we have, learned to grow into that no one was ever really growing into before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope it stays, like especially stuff like that where you can do everything remotely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, hell, imagine if we were, trying to write music like via fax or something.
It's
Like just like you
sheet
just have to
music.
send sheet music back and forth to each other where it's just like I don't like this note choice, and you scribble it out, you rewrite it, and then you fax it back.
Or you send like MIDI data. It's just like it's like, nope, move it over. It's not on the line.
We should be writing music via fax.
That would be a good music video idea.
Music via fax.
Yeah.
All right.
Now we just
Everyone,
need-
everyone listening, hold us to that. We're doing a faxing music video.
No, we're not. We're absolutely not.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
everyone that
we
still
are.
has a fax machine, we'll fax you some exclusive merch.
I'm gonna be honest here. I don't think I've ever actually seen a fax machine.
Yes, you have.
We used to have one that was like attached to like a phone as well. I guess maybe that's how they
That's how they all
were.
were. Yeah.
but I still remember like answering, the phone would ring and you'd answer it and it was a fax and it would just be like the screaming sound.
I'm just imagining you pick up the phone, you're like, hello? Ah!
This is the fax.
It's a fax.
Oh my god.
This is an
get-
incoming fax for
Like I'm definitely grateful that this has happened now and not like even like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Thinking about how much better all this like the internet technology is. Like it would be a whole different ballgame if this was 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's true.
Also, the fact that Zoom exists and is such a brilliant platform. Like what was it that people were using before? I can't even remember what it was
Skype?
called. Skype.
Skype.
Skypay?
Isn't it
How did they
hilarious
not
how
win this race?
I know, that's what I was just about to say. Skype had like what? Like however long they've been around, like 13 years. They had all that time to get like giant group conferences down, and then Zoom was like, nope. Stock price going up 700% later. Like,
Yeah, that's the one thing I was thinking of. I was like, it's one thing that like that everyone's using Zoom, but it's great for the people who invested in Zoom.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
kicking myself in the shins for that one.
Shout out to all you Zoom investors out there. We see you.
Please sponsor this podcast.
We see you for looking up at you on your giant goddamn pile of money.
Did anyone use Zoom before COVID?
Yeah, I used it at work all the time. Like that was how we talked to people in other offices at work.
Well, there you go.
But I don't know why. Like I don't know why it was Zoom and not Skype. But I guess now we know.
Now I know.
Skype didn't have they shit together.
Getting back on track. Here we are. We're zooming. We're live streaming. We actually did our live stream show over Zoom, and
Yep.
that was a super unique experience because to paint a picture, we were essentially in the studio, and they had this screen come up with the Zoom call on it, and our audience was being fed the audio from the control booth, and we could see every single person watching us and all their comments, and we could have a conversation with them between songs. And it was just like, it was such a cool, wholesome experience. And that's definitely something I would love to do again.
Oh,
Even
hands down.
post COVID, I would 100% do it again.
Oh yeah, like it was great. Like even just like just seeing all the comments like going down. And the thing is, like the show aside, like we brought people together almost. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are people who hadn't seen each other for such a long time because of the pandemic, and then like they're talking over Zoom. Oh, how you doing? Blah blah blah. Chatting in the chat. Like that was one part where I really liked it. Like we were able to like bring a group of people together, like our community together, and they were able to interact with each other. And I thought like that was just so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sweet. Like it was different for sure. And nothing nothing quite compares to like the thump of the bass, you know, in a venue. But like, there's something to be said about just like staying in your pajamas and like going to a show. Like, it was cool, and I think it was very intimate without being like. It was like intimate, but it was still like very us. Like we got to play our set how we wanted to play it, still as like heavy and as energetic as possible, but then in like an intimate setting where we could like answer questions and like really have a one-to-one with anybody, not just like the front row as they like yell at you and you're sweating on them. Like it was
Yeah. And everyone's I love like seeing everyone had their snacks and whatever they're enjoying during our show. And Sean had his cereal. What cereal was he eating? I can't remember.
I have no
I think
idea.
it was Lucky Charms or something.
No, wasn't it Captain Crunch?
It was
or
it was
Captain
Captain
Crunch?
yeah.
And the whole chat was like rooting for his Captain Crunch.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. It was so good. And you know,
it's stuff like that. You would never find that at a bar show. And it was just so cool and family like.
And it's also worth saying that, you know, although a lot of musicians and bands out there will do the live streams themselves, I think it's worth it for us to just give a quick shout out to our friends at Distance Media who helped us put on that show.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It was, you know, it was basically everything. We got everything that we wanted out of that show in terms of what we wanted it to be. So just wanted to give a quick shout out and, you know, give them the props for the work that they're doing, because it was a great night for us. And I think, you know, everyone else who tuned into that stream could absolutely agree.
Yeah, and like
Totally,
just
yeah.
great people, like made us feel safe upon like getting in there. Like, of course, everyone's masked up. Like, just really good hang. Like, cool studio. The vibe. I was just gonna say the vibes were immaculate, but they were. They were.
They were.
Truly immaculate.
Dude, those were pristine vibes.
And you know, they were also super flexible with us because we had to postpone the show. Like the date, like our original date was in October.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
Miles had gotten tested.
Sorry.
And
Don't be
everything was
sorry.
fine, but we didn't know that. So he got tested. And for whatever reason, like the backlog was crazy. He didn't get his test anywhere near when we thought he would. And so it was like the day before the show, still hadn't heard anything. And we were like, we had to send them an email and be like, guys, like, you know, we have a pending COVID test. We can't in good conscience come in and potentially expose you. And they were like, yep, no problem. They rescheduled the date for us. All of our like friends and fans were super chill about it. So that could have been much worse. But
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah. That was so
That was, like,
stressful.
reality.
Oh, I hated that weekend so much. Just like
Yeah, it was
just like
tough.
not knowing. And I'm sure there's people listening right now that could relate to that. Like, you know, just having to get tested, and then I mean, because that's the reality. Like, it's normal to know people that have got tested because it's just so everywhere, right? So it's like
Yeah.
that just waiting and not knowing, especially when like there was this big thing planned and like there's all this promo for it, but in the end it all worked out, which was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
we've all been tested, right?
I haven't.
Austin has yet to be swabbed.
I'm the only one out of the band who has not been tested yet,
You
which
also
is good.
work from home.
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely am lucky to have the privilege to work from home, but also I don't think I'd handle the nasal swab being like I wouldn't handle the nasal swab very well. I'm being completely honest.
It hurts. Okay. Sorry.
No.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk
Yes.
about this. Let's touch on
I
this.
want to know. I want to know. Tell me your swab stories.
I discovered a part of my face that I didn't know existed. Like I thought that the swab was gonna go kind of up. Like everything that you sort of saw was like it's gonna go touch my brain basically, but it goes like in your nose and then like back.
Yeah.
And I just remember like it was like it didn't hurt, but for the next like day I had this like itch inside my face that I couldn't scratch.
Oh,
It was like
yes.
the weird, and it was like it was just weird because I didn't know that existed in my body before, and now that you know it's there, like that can never go away. I feel like I've been like I've learned something new about myself that I can never unlearn, and I don't like it.
You know what? I've actually had that itch in other places in my body. Most specifically on this shoulder. I get it inside and I can't itch it.
Oh, the worst.
And you just want to like you want to just like whatever part is like it feels like it's internally inching, you just like hit it. You're just like, why won't it go away? That's what I do.
Yeah, you do the old slap, the old tattoo slap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't get. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get that itch, but like I remember, I did the drive-through one, like did the headrest or head on the headrest rather. She's like, all right, here we go. It's gonna tickle a little bit. I'm like, okay. And I remember she did it, and I coughed, sneezed, and started crying almost all simultaneously.
Yes.
It was just like it was just like one of these. You're just like, what's that? And then like you just like tears are streaming down your face, and she's like, and you're good to go. You're like, yep. You're like, thanks.
Just like a general face explosion.
Yeah, literally.
And you just like cry the whole way home. Like it's weird.
It's so true though. Like you're just like tears streaming down your face on the way home. Turn the music off on purpose.
Break.
That visual just is so perfect. 'Cause that's exactly how it feels. Okay.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, Austin. Obviously, you're doing everything you can to avoid needing to be tested. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it feels like a rite of passage I haven't quite hit yet. So I'm not saying I'm gonna go get tested for fun, but who knows? I hope it doesn't happen. But I'm feeling the FOMO.
We can do a recreational swab for you at some point
We could.
in the future.
I've also heard, like, I don't know if you guys experienced this, but my roommate was like, I felt it in my brain.
I wish. What I felt was worse. It was so unsettling.
I mean, you definitely. I don't feel like it was in my brain, but you feel like it. Like it feels like it touches your brain. Yeah, like it nudges it.
Yeah.
I didn't get the brain sensation, but I did get the person who did it. I guess partially my fault, but the person who did it was like, okay, so we're gonna stick this in your nose. I was like, wait, I have a deviated septum. Could you please put it in the bigger one? And she's like, okay, which one's the bigger one? I was like, oh, this one. And she looks at the nose piercing and she's like, no, I'm gonna put it in your smaller one. I just went for it.
Just no fucks given. She's just like, yep, I see a nose ring. We can't go there.
Yeah. I mean, she probably has to deal with that like all day, every day. So.
Oh yeah. She's so just like just numb to it.
Yeah, I wish I could be numb for it.
Wait, no kidding. Well, I mean, it's the reality of today, and that's just the way it is.
Yep, swabs and all.
Now, instead of getting tested, hopefully we get vaccinated soon.
Oh yeah,
I'm so looking forward to
Soon
it.
enough.
Especially like, I don't know if it's like this for the rest of Canada right now, but BC is on like a huge lockdown right now. Like
It's not
I
that
remember
bad. Compared to
no,
Ontario and Quebec, Ontario and Quebec
Yeah.
right now are like lockdown.
they're in a bad place.
Yeah. But I remember for a bit we were getting together to do rehearsals and stuff, and we would be safe about it. And it was obviously legal, and we would all have masks on, and we'd set up our gear in 2 separate rooms and be as far apart from each other as possible, which is something that we could do with our in-ear rig. Thank God, because that would not be possible if we were playing through speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would definitely
And we
be
can't even do
singing
that
moistly
now.
on each other.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we can't even do that anymore. Which is, I mean, it's fine. Like, I'll take it. Anything to get us through this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it'll come to a point where I feel like we'll get back to that. And I like that setup. We had the rhythm section in this room that I'm in right now. I'd be in the corner right there. Brayson be like right here. And then out there in the basement, you have Mike like over there. This means nothing to you guys because this is a podcast.
Well,
and if you're
you
not
know what?
watching the video,
They could see the setup if they went on our YouTube and watch our live videos. They could see how we have it set up.
it's true.
That is
Nice,
true.
nice
Yeah.
plug, by the way.
Yeah,
But yeah, and
yeah.
then Austin
Wink,
had his spot at the other end of the room, it was a pretty good setup. It was weird not being able to see each other, especially I remember Austin, because maybe you can
God.
speak to this more, but like when we would go for big endings and you couldn't see me and it would be like a
Yeah,
chain
so-
reaction.
Yeah, so basically it would be because it went so Miles was in Miles's corner. For people who are only listening to the audio, good luck. Use your imagination. But so basically for in our actual jam space, Miles would be in the far corner, Brayson would be at the other end of the room where there's a door. Brayson could look out the door and look at Mike, who is about like 10, 15 feet or something out from like his spot outside the door. And then from there, Mike would look at me, and I was about 10, 12 feet the other way, basically adjacent to Miles, but with a wall in between us. So it would be like, Miles would be like, okay, ready? And everyone, Brace would be like, yeah. He'd look over at Mike, and Mike would be like, yeah. Mike would look at me, and I'd be like, yeah? And then we go, duh, and I would always be last. Always be last. I'd always be slightly behind unless I predicted it really well, but I'm not rhythm section. So,
It was good. It was fun.
It
was
for you. The never-ending torture of not knowing the last downbeat. No, thank you.
I mean, it's kind of like it works your intuition, I guess, in a way. So it's not all bad.
Mm-hmm. It was fun, but just the anticipation just killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, oh, that's interesting too. I was gonna mention how it kind of reminded me. We were doing this video for a submission last night, and we have to do it over Zoom, obviously. And it was basically like a 1 minute pitch, and we were all talking. We were going around the call, sharing pieces of this monologue that we had, and trying to time in so that there would be no lag, and we had to like cut each other off. It was really weird to talk over someone and be like, I'm talking over you, but you don't know. It's fine. Let me just do this.
It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's the world we live in. The world we live in.
Yeah, that's
today.
kind of that's the interesting thing with these with these Zoom calls is just trying to actually find some sort of like natural talking rhythm while we're all video chatting is such an interesting barrier to get around. I mean, we're having a great time right now, but it's just I think that's like the worst part about having to do things remotely, if I'm being honest, is just everyone like two people talk at the same time, then there's quiet for 5 seconds, both people try and talk at the same time again, there's quiet for 5 more seconds, and then it's a back and forth of you go, no, you go, okay, fine, I'll go, and then you both go again, and then there's more silence for 5 seconds.
I mean, like you probably already heard that multiple times in this call. Like right now.
Unless we edit it properly.
I mean, imagine if there was no lag. Like, imagine you could actually play live. Like, that would be crazy. Because I mean, we had that TEDx live stream, and of course, we had to pre-record everything. But like, imagine if we could like just play. Like, that'd be so interesting if we were in different places. I mean, I don't like that. That would be like, I don't know what kind of wire you would need for that, but I'm sure.
I have faith that it will eventually happen. Like not
for the next pandemic.
Yeah, for the next pandemic. Yeah. Not anytime in the next 10 years. Maybe.
Oh boy, not. In the next 100 years from now, oh man, we're gonna be ready.
Yeah. But like even with songwriting and when we try to get ideas across on the Zoom call, excuse me, and we're trying to like sing along to the song and it's way off time, and we have to do this little like workaround where we mute everybody else and we record the song into our phone on the voice memo and then sing along and then send that into like the group chat.
Yep.
There's a really weird way to get around it, but you know, we're working on it. We're doing it.
We make it work.
It's all about adapting. Like that's what we've learned throughout this whole thing is you just like, you got to figure it out because the world doesn't stop. Like, just because there's no shows, there's so much else for us to do.
Yeah. And if you're not adapting, you're really like you're squandering your potential because you can't think of this as like a downer on your career. You have to think of it as like an opportunity to to work on things that you haven't worked on and move on and to focus on things that got left behind, and like stuff like merch and taxes,
Yep.
which is impossible for us to get done in a regular year.
Oh,
We
that
do our
was,
taxes. Let's
Yeah,
be very
we
clear.
do.
about
Yes,
that.
yes.
No, we do our
They might.
taxes.
They might be hard to get done, but they're not impossible. Which means yes, we do our taxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so
But
much fun.
I would
Actually,
say that.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Here we go
Oh, I was just-
again.
it
Oh
wa-
my
it
god!
wasn't even that
What was I saying?
It wasn't even that important. I was just going to say, speaking of which, I need to do our year end still. That's what I was going to say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We will cut that out.
Anyway, yeah, like I was saying, it's all about adapting. It's all about moving forward, and I feel like it's kind of been, and I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but it's kind of been a blessing to have that chance to work on things like that. You know what I mean?
And honestly, like as much as we say like this isn't like, you know, you shouldn't be treating this as like a time to just do nothing because there is so much to be done. Like the way that this industry works is like very go all the time, and like if you're not touring, you're planning your next tour. If you're not like recording, you're planning your next release. Like it's it's nonstop. And I feel like from what I've heard from a lot of musicians is like this like forced pause was kind of a blessing in disguise for them, because it was a break from constant touring and constant rehearsing. Like it was a time to just like reflect and then plan and write and etc.
Totally. Yeah. You just remember, everyone out there, you know, even though it's always go, sometimes you just gotta stop.
It's
Yeah, and hopefully we can just keep this all in mind. Like when it's over, we can do the things that we're doing now as well as what we were doing before, and just have a healthy balance of it. You know, whether it be doing music or whatever your day to day is.
Agreed.
You know,
It's a really healthy outlook.
it's good to take time.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
good to take time. And it's just like, and I don't take any offense to that, Brayson. Like you said, you don't want to take us the wrong way. Like it is, I definitely think it has done very good things for us. Like very good things. I mean,
100%.
obviously we'd love to play shows, but we take what we can
Yeah.
get.
And, you know, we'll get back to it one day. But for
Exactly.
now, this is our podcast, and this is the end of the episode.
Great
Whoa.
segue.
I love that segue. I got chills.
Okay. You know what? As like, as you know, we're probably going into there like, oh, it's a little bit clunky. You know what? That was very smooth. Like that was the most like smooth but abrupt transition. I loved that.
Oh,
Well, thank you
I
very
thought we
much.
weren't. I thought we were gonna say bye at least.
Well, we are going to say bye. Bye.
Perfect.
Right now. All right. Thanks everyone for watching or listening. This has been another episode of BandChat. If you want to follow us and see what we're up to, all our social media pages are in the show notes. So thanks so much for listening and taking the time to chat with us.
See you later.
Thanks everybody.
Yeah,
Stay
see ya.
safe out there and take care.
See you in the next episode.